everyone, and welcome back to the Three Strangers podcast. I'm your host, Ryan.
I'm Nick. And we are building suspense for Bill.
Bill's here, but he's not unfortunately, he's driving home for Easter right now, but there's a lot of dead spots where he's going into. So he'll be in and out this podcast. He'll try his best to speak whenever he can. But welcome everybody. This is going to be a kind of fun podcast because we have a lot to talk about. We have an amazing guest. But first, we just like to thank, of course, Sam for producing our intro theme, and to Nick for composing it. And of course, we'd like to thank Skippy, who does all the editing and recording and everything like that. He has his own YouTube channel. You could check it out. But boys, do we have a guest for this episode who is absolutely amazing. So Skippy, this is where you're going to roll the highlight tape. Right here. Highlight tape starts now. He came out of Toledo. He was a starting safety for the Cowboys. He was on the Cowboys for 7 years. He went to Jacksonville, made it to a championship game, had a great NFL career. Please welcome Mr. Barry Church.
Yeah. Woo! Stadium noise.
What's going on? Thanks for having me on the show, man. I'm excited about this. It's going to be an awesome experience, man. But once again, thanks for having me, man. This is awesome.
Oh, it's no problem. It's no problem. So this is like embarrassing story time. So I've been a Cowboys fan for basically forever. But my parents never wanted to spend the $100 on a jersey or anything like that.
It's a little pricey, man.
It's a lot of money. But finally, I was able to convince them one season. They were like, okay, we don't want you to know who you're getting. So give us a list of 3 players and we'll get you one of them. And so I said Tony Romo, Cole Beasley, and I said you on the list.
I made the list, baby. Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, I ended up getting a Tony Romo jersey. But
all good. He was a solid player, man. Very solid player, good friend of mine. So that's a good selection. Very good selection.
Do you keep in touch with him after his career?
Every now and then. Yeah, every now and then I'll touch base with him just to try to get some tips on the media platform because he's killing the game as far as commentating and that media platform goes. So I get tips from him every now and then. But he's a good dude, man. Really good dude. Extremely good dude.
Would you want to become a commentator over a game at one point?
Oh yeah, that's the goal. Right now I'm trying to build my way up through the organization and doing media right now. I do their pre and post game shows and also have my own podcast called The Players Lounge over there. And then I also have a television show called Hit Stick. So right now I'm trying to build my way up through that and then eventually get to the big dogs, get to the big ranks and end up calling games myself. But that's the goal. That's the goal.
Man, we're supporting you all the way. That's awesome.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's awesome to see. Is that usually because we have no idea what that's like? What's is that what you see a lot of the retirees from the NFL go on to do? They try to get that progression.
Yeah, and it's just kind of just started going that way. I mean, usually back in the early '90s or even early 2000s, when people retired, they just kind of did their own thing. Maybe they start their own business or whatnot, but now this broadcast, this media, this genre of television exploded basically. You got ESPN, you got Fox Sports Net. I mean, you got all these different cable networks, affiliates playing the game. And they're bringing, instead of getting guys that are analysts that have never played the game, they're getting guys that have actually played the game, had lengthy careers, and know what they're talking about. So they're pretty much experts at it. And they transition from, the NFL to talking sports as an analyst. And I think that's the easiest transition because it can get hard. Some cats, that's all they know is football. They don't know anything outside of football. So once they retire, it's like, man, they lost their identity. And so they try to look for things to do. And this is just another avenue to help players transfer from the field to real life. And I think it's worked out for a lot of cats out there.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. There's opportunity. There's a lot of opportunity out there after your times of game is over.
No doubt.
Yeah, so we'll stop talking about the end of your career and we're going to jump to the beginning of your career.
Okay.
After Toledo, did you expect that you would go undrafted, or did you think there was the chance that you could go in a round?
I thought for a minute I was going to be able. I knew it from the jump I was going to be a late round guy. I thought I was going to be anywhere between 5 and 7. Just coming from Toledo, a small Division I school, didn't really get all that limelight. So I didn't think I would be drafted early or anything like that. But as the rounds started ticking, and I've yet to get a call, it started just to dawn on me in my head. I'm a realistic type person, so I'm like, all right, well, looks like I'm gonna have to go the undrafted route. Which at the end of the day, it ended up working out for me. I went, 10 years in the league, so it ended up working out for me because
Yeah.
you get to choose your team. Like once the draft process is done, teams will start calling you saying, "Hey, we want you to join this team or join that team," and you might have a selection of
Mm.
3 or 4 teams. So it ended up working out in
Oh,
the
okay,
long
nice.
run, but overall, man, I was definitely pissed off because I started seeing, kickers and punters getting drafted. And I'm like, man, hold on, these guys,
Yeah.
what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
So it definitely pissed me
Yeah.
off, but it gave me like that chip on the shoulder, and that's what helped me
Mm.
get to the league and kind of had that chip saying, I'm gonna continue to be humble, continue to play hard. It ended up working out, and I ended up having a lengthy career.
Yeah.
So kind of glad the route I went.
So how many
Yeah.
teams after the draft called you, or was it just the Cowboys and you're like, I'll come?
It came down to three. It was the Panthers, the Cowboys, and I believe the last team.
Mm.
It might have been Cleveland or something like that. But what made me go to the Cowboys was my agency represented the special teams coach, and I knew since going undrafted, the only way you're going to make the team is through special teams, being on that punt or that kickoff coverage team or something like that. And I figured if I had
Mm-hmm.
it in with the special teams coach, that would at least put my foot in the door and help me out. And it ended up being that way. And I still, I'm still communicating. I'm still good friends with the special teams coordinator back then, Joe DeCamillis. I'm still good friends with him, but it ended up working out. So that's how I ended up
Nice.
sliding in there.
So
Wow, that's great.
who would you say was a mentor to you as your time at the Cowboys, as you started your career and learned?
It was two guys, both on the defensive side of the ball, and they were different caliber because one was DeMarcus Ware, who is going to be a Hall of Fame. He's up for the Hall of Fame probably next year, and he'll be a first ballot guy. He's like 10th in the league in sacks overall, so and for a career. So I mean, he was one of my mentors, and then the guy I played next to and pretty much taught me all I knew about the safety position was a guy named Gerald Sensabaugh. He kind of
Mhm.
went the same route I did. He was, he was drafted in I think a late round, but kind of made special teams and then kind of built his way up to be a starting safety. And that's who I kind of wanted to caliber my game after because he pretty much taught me everything I needed to know about the league. And I did a great job because I lasted as long as I did. So those were the two kind of guys I kind of looked up to on the defensive side of the ball, and they mentored me for my first couple of years until I was able to, grow my own wings and kind of develop my own niche into the NFL.
Well, I
That's great.
remember when Gerald
That's
Sensabaugh was on the team.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
I remember Sensabaugh,
no doubt.
but yeah,
yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, we're glad that it could work out, and obviously Brian was glad because representing his team and
We didn't get the
it's
job done always, but we made it interesting. We made it
Oh,
interesting.
definitely.
yeah, yeah.
So between the 2014 team and the 2016 team, if you were to say this was a Super Bowl team, which one would you have said could have went all the way?
Whew, that's a tough one, man, because both of those teams were loaded, and I feel like we had an opportunity with both of those teams to make a big splash. But I would have to go with that 2014 team. We had, lots of lesser names. We didn't have Dak Prescott, Zeke, and all that stuff, but we had Romo, we had Dez Bryant when he was in his prime, and that
Mm.
offense it was something to deal with. I mean, we had DeMarco Murray at the running back position, and he was getting, I think he was the
Oh yeah,
offensive
yeah,
player of the year that year. And
He was
our offensive
crazy
line,
that
oh,
year.
he was nuts. And our
yeah.
offensive line was unbelievable. That's when we had a young Tyron Smith and a young Zach Martin, all
Mm.
those young guys on the offensive line. So we were dominant. And defensively, we weren't the best. I think overall we were 10th or 12th, but we took the ball away. We had the most takeaways in the NFL that year. So we definitely helped out our team overall. So I mean, it's a tough one because 2016, we had Zeke, we had Dak Prescott, we had a loaded offense as well. But I think that 2014 team, we were more of a vet laden team, and I think we would have ended up doing more damage if we would have got past Green Bay with that Des Bryant should have been a catch, but it wasn't a catch.
Oh.
That hurts my heart
Yeah.
even thinking about it
I-
still to this day. Like, how do you make that a non-catch? But whatever. But I still think that 2014 team should have brought home the hardware. We were loaded.
Oh my god, that
Mm.
2014 Packers game, and like
Uh,
the catch with I think it was Randall Cobb, where you saw the ball hit the ground and bounce up into his hands and call it a catch. I was like, come on.
it was ridiculous, man. I mean, to this day it still hurts because we should have had that game won, man, without a doubt. There was just so many instances like we could have had the game salted away, and then I think DeMarco Murray fumbled on like a random play when Julius Peppers just randomly threw his arm out there and slapped the ball, and like 9 times out of 10, DeMarco's running right through that, and he just slapped it
Mm.
right on the right instance. He fumbled the ball. they were able to come back. I mean,
Yeah.
Green Bay, I mean, they took my heart a couple times because 2016, that's
Mm.
who we lost to in the
Yep.
playoffs. So I mean,
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, man, he gets me. He gets me every time.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm curious. What is your perspective on when you see like these, older players now? Of course, like Tom Brady's being talked about so much, but Aaron Rodgers is another one of them. Where these players that are getting up there in numbers, in age. Like what's the perspective of a retired NFL player to someone who is still playing?
It's remarkable to me. It's remarkable because both of those. I mean, Tom Brady's like 43, going on 44, and he's arguably come off one of his best seasons he's ever had as a professional. Now, granted, the team he's with
Mm,
is loaded, but for a guy, 43 years old, still being able to put the ball where he's able to put it, he's so accurate, and he's seen pretty much every defense there is in the National Football League. So you can't fool him with that aspect. And you give him a team like that, he's going to make
mm,
it. He's a great leader. He's one of the greatest leaders we've ever seen in all of sports. So it's just remarkable that he's still able to go out there and get the job done each and every week. And then you go over to Aaron Rodgers, who he was the MVP. He was the MVP
mm,
this year. I mean, that
yeah.
says it enough. I mean, this guy is still playing at an extremely high level for being in his like 11th or 12th year, maybe even longer than that. And I mean, he's a machine out there. He's putting the ball where it needs to be. And he hasn't had his best luck in the playoffs. I think he's 1-4 in NFC Championship games. But to even get to that level that many
Mm,
times is remarkable. And for him to be able to play at such a
yeah.
high level consistently like that, it's a feat of its own. So those two guys are, I mean, they're in a caliber of their own. And then you got the young guys coming up beneath
Mm,
them. So this is definitely a quarterback-driven league, and those two guys are at the pinnacle right now. Even at their age, they're at the pinnacle right now. So hats goes off to those.
So I
mm,
gotta ask you then, what do you think about Dak and his contract and just everything?
mhm.
At
Yeah.
first, I'm not gonna lie. At first, I thought, man, if we pay this guy, 40 million a year, he's a good quarterback. But it's not like he's Mahomes. It's not like he can take the whole team, no matter how it's constructed, and get them to the Super Bowl. So I felt like we would ruin our cap. There's no way we'd be able to pay him and as well help out our defense. But somehow, some way, Jerry Jones and that they were able to figure out a way to push the cap hit, which is how a team basically gets enough money to get free agencies and stuff, or free agents out there and stuff. They were able to get a low cap hit this year, even though they're paying him 40 million or 75 million his first year. They're able to get a low cap hit, which is able to help bring other pieces in there. And since they were able to do that, I mean, our hats goes off to both negotiating tables because I thought it had to be one way or the other. Either you're gonna let that go and solidify your team as a whole by bringing in more free
Right.
agents, or
Yeah.
keep that and and defense was gonna have to suffer because we don't have enough money. But they were able to make both sides work. I mean, we got Dak his 40 million. We got enough cap space on our side of the ball to help the defense. So I mean, it's on the up and up right now. Now we got to go out there and play. Those guys still got to go out there and play and get the job done. But right now, I
Mm,
think they have the pieces to get it done as long as they stay healthy. And we've seen with this team. I mean, health is a hard thing to come by in the NFL. So hopefully we can stay healthy and,
yeah.
and get the job
Yeah.
done, man.
Man, I feel like every
Yeah.
single year
Especially.
the Cowboys deal with like 2 to 3 hamstrings. I don't know
Uh
what it is about the hamstrings, but
The
every year.
they go every time. I mean, from Miles Austin, and then Dez had hamstring issues, and it's just I don't know. I mean, maybe it's the way
Yeah.
they're stretching out there or something, but the hammies seem to
Mm,
always go.
Mhm.
yeah.
So going to the draft,
Okay.
there's a lot of talk about, of course, Kyle Pitts, Pat
Oh yeah.
Surtain, J.C. Horn. So if you're the GM of the Cowboys at pick 10 and all of those guys are still there, who would you pick and why?
I gotta go defense. One, I'm a defensive guy, but I gotta go
Mm,
defense. We struggled so bad last year. We were historically bad on the defensive side of the ball. We had multiple guys going over 300 yards rushing. I feel like teams were just picking their poison with us. We'll beat them with the
mm,
pass. We'll beat them with the run. So we've got to go defensively, I think, in this draft. Kyle Pitts is an amazing mismatch nightmare out there. He can be the tight end of the future and probably go down in the Hall of Fame as one of the greatest, but we don't have that luxury of still being able to just get the best guy in the draft. We've got to address this defensive side of the ball, or we're going to continue to just put up high numbers but lose games because our defense can't stop anybody. So with saying that, I got to go Sertan with that pick at number 10. I know J.C. Horn put up ridiculous numbers out there for his pro day, but to me, Pat Sertan, his father played a long time in the league, so he has that pedigree of knowing how to play the game. He's a good zone corner as well as a good man-to-man corner. He could do both of them, and he's physical. He's physical in the run game, and in this league, that's what you need because a lot of teams will force corners to play in the run game, and a lot of them will turn it down. I mean, there's Deion Sanders out there making business decisions. He's not
mm,
messing with the tackling, but Pat Surtain, he can do that. He can come in there, he can thump with the best of them. So for me, I think he's an overall great corner that we can add to our team and make us better. If there was like a high-rated defensive lineman in this draft, I'd say we should go after them because to me, I believe you build your defense from the front to the back. But there's not that guy in this draft to me. There's not that guy that stands out that says, hey, I got to be a first-round pick. I can make your defense X, Y, and Z. There's not that guy for me, so I got to go to the secondary. I think my best option is Pat Surtain.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, and I'm very much so similar with building from the defensive line back. But there's no real big man at pick 10 that you want to get. I mean, Marvin Wilson looks like he's going to be really good, but he's probably a second or third round pick.
Yes,
but I know one guy that I really like who I want is Richie Grant from UCF.
Ooh, I've heard a lot. I haven't really watched a lot of film on him, but I would love it if we were able to get him in like the second or third round. I think he can definitely solidify this defense. We paid DeMonte KZ as our free safety, but we gave him a vet minimum, meaning he's going to have to make the team. It's not, they didn't give him all this money to where he's a solidified starter. So I think we can get a young guy like Richie Grant to come in here and compete with him at that free safety position, if that were to be the case. And at the worst, KZ starts the first couple of games, gets Richie Grant accustomed to playing in the NFL as a rookie, and then they cut him loose and let him go out there and play. But man, that would be a solid pickup to me. And then we can address the rest of the defense later on in the draft. But Richie Grant and Surtain, that'd be a pretty good combination for me.
Oh yeah, I think he's like really one of the first like real free safeties that we've seen for a while since I think Hooker was probably the last big free safety that we've seen.
And we had a chance to get him, but I mean he's coming off an Achilles. I mean we already filled a hurt team right now, so I mean he's a great player, but hopefully he can get back healthy and get another shot at it.
Yeah, I know one of the Cowboys analysts or like people I really watch is Big Game James. He always says we love signing them hurt boys.
Yeah, he's right about that. I mean, if you look at it, Jalen Smith, he was coming out of the draft injured. I mean, Vander Esch, he's injured up right now. I mean, we got a lot of guys. Keanu Neal, who we just signed in free agency, is coming off an Achilles. KZ, like I just mentioned, coming off an Achilles. So we got an injury-prone team right now. So I don't think we need to get any more guys that are in the tub right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way. And building from the defense up, and that's it's true what they say. A defense will win championships, and a defense will collectively not make the NFC East so bad. So like,
Yes, sir.
Unless it's the Redskins, who have a very, very good defense, and the offense is lacking.
Yes, indeed.
But they just signed Fitzmagic, so who knows?
That's true. Yeah, that's going to be a curveball. Definitely. Like, see how that goes.
Oh yeah.
Better defense. Maybe a name. Maybe, I don't know.
We'll see what happens. They get to decide on one, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
And one last thing before we switch over to our horror movie series that we're going to be talking about. So after Jacksonville, did you have any teams call you, or did you decide, you know what, that's it?
Oh yeah, so I had Indianapolis call, and I went up there. I went on my visit, and we were going to get the contract done, and then I went back home, and I started just being around my children and family a lot, and it was just, I thought about it, and I was like, I did as much as I can for this game, so I decided to decline the contract and kind of stay at home and be a dad for the first time in a while, and it ended up, working out for me. I love what I do now, and do I miss playing on Sundays? Without a doubt, you miss those Sundays, but you don't miss practicing, you don't miss being in those meetings and all and that long time grind that it takes to get to those Sundays. So I think I made the right decision, but overall, I felt like my career was solid, and there's no regrets for me.
Awesome. Well, right here, we're just going to quickly take a little break, and then we'll jump into talking about the Final Destination series.
Let's do it.
And we are back. So, Church, you already know that before we started on the podcast, we were talking about some movies that you wanted to, possibly talk about. And I have the list up.
Okay.
And, so you said that you love the Child's Play series, Final Destination.
Oh man, killed me as a kid, but go ahead. Yep.
Final Destination, the Amityville Horror Story, Insidious, Shining, It, of course, the original.
You gotta be original.
And the first Paranormal Activity.
Yeah. And the first Paranormal, the first
good
Paranormal.
spread. Good spread of movie.
Yeah, nice little spread, man. Nice little dinner options we got.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it's. I feel like you can tell a lot. When, somebody tells you like their favorite horror movies that they talk about, and whether any movies, like it's almost like that classic first date question. Like, give me 3 of your top movies,
There it
and
is.
like you really you can tell how good their quality is based on those 3.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
And I do want to say
Yeah.
that with Amityville Horror Story, my dad works in corrections, and he actually met Ron DeFeo.
What?
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's slick. When did he meet him?
He used to work at the prison that he was in. So like,
Ooh. Did he get to talk to
Wow.
him at all? Like, or it's just like,
no,
man,
it was just like
brain a little bit like, no. What
Yeah.
was going down?
Yeah.
What the hell was going down over there, man?
he said that they kept him away from basically everybody else because they knew that everyone else would attack him if he was close to them.
Oh, that dude was. I mean, that's scary,
Wow.
man. That dude was scary. He looked kind of scary too. Like I was like,
Yeah.
holy smokes, man. I was like, yeah, that's something right there. Now that would have been an experience. I would have tried to chop it up with him though. I would have tried to like get in his mind a little bit. Like, what's going on? I think that's interesting. Like, what were you thinking on these situations? Like, But
Yeah.
man, that's kind of.
I agree. I was the same thing. I was like, did you talk to him? Like what?
What did he say? Did he say why?
Why did this happen? Oh man, that would have been slick though. That's pretty slick.
Yeah, but of course we decided that this episode we would be talking about the Final Destination series.
Classic, man. To me that's a classic. That's a classic. And I find it that it was so scary to me because it's stuff that can happen in real life. Like you could be driving behind, a big truck with, these big old trees that they just lumbered down. So you could be minding your own business driving, and not saying serial killers coming in like Jason or Michael they can happen, seriously, but you can defend yourself again. You can if you got a gun, you can shoot these guys. Man, if you're just driving, the truck hits a random pothole. There's potholes in the highway. A random pothole, chains get loose. You got trees coming at you. You're not going to be able to swerve out of the way. The big tree that always scared me. And then you got the plane scene where the dude, he falls asleep and he reenacts the whole plane situation because there's no control. These things can just happen, and it scared the living daylights out of me. I was intrigued. I was watching like, how's this next thing going to happen? How is she going to get killed in the sunbathing thing? And it's just crazy how these things happen. It's wild, and I ain't gonna lie, it scared me, man. It scared me.
Yeah. Church, you make a really good point right off the bat. Like I think that's what Final Destination did so well, and especially in the first couple of movies. It really took advantage of the things that people are scared of that are realistic, that do absolutely happen, and there's so much media about it. And you've got a plane, malfunctioning and then exploding. The car crash, a roller coaster like disbanding. While that's maybe lesser on the realistic side, that still has happened. There's footage of that stuff happen, and it's that's some really scary shit. And that definitely think like automatic strength of the series once it started.
Oh man, it was ridiculous because it was like something like you said. Some of the stuff was a little far fetched, but the most of it was like that can happen, man. Like like I said with the truck incident. It could hit a pothole and that chain could get loose. It's just, man, it scared me, man. Girl, I was like, holy smoke. And then from now on, I don't care where I will never drive behind a truck carrying anything. Whether it could be glass, I don't care what I will never follow behind a truck, man. It just scares me.
That is so funny that you say that because I'm the exact same way. Like I will literally try to pass them as quickly as I can so I'm not near them anymore.
Yeah.
Like that car crash was scarring watching it when you just saw the coffee spill and then hit the bump to where the logs. Oh my god! Like
it's nuts, man. It's nuts.
One of the greatest jump scares probably ever. It's really good.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
That's right. Yeah.
Of course, we have the more unrealistic death things happening. Like the first one that I automatically think of is from the first movie with the teacher, how she goes with making the hot tea to the vodka with the ice, and you see the cup crack, and then the vodka going. I was like, wait, this isn't flammable.
How is this happening? So, a couple of the situations were definitely a little the flame there, but like the one with the when she was in the sunbathing thing. I forget how it ended up happening. She was in there, I believe, and then like I forget how it got locked. I forget
Somebody
yeah,
gets
like something gets
caught.
caught on the door or something
Yeah.
like that, where she can't fully open it, and
Oh,
then
I
like
think it was
maybe
like part of the
something
ceiling. Or,
spilled.
oh, no,
Yeah.
it was a shelf. Because there's like
Yeah,
a
it was
little
the
like
shelf.
explosion.
Yeah.
The shelf went and just flew perfectly in between the two.
Like, shoot, you can't get out of here. And then it started, the electric went off or something. And she just got boiled alive in there, which was like, holy shit. So, I mean, it was kind of scary, man. It was kind of
I
scary.
actually watched the third one
Mm.
again because, like, of course, building up to this, I watched all of them
Mhm.
again. But yesterday, my friends were like, "What do you want to watch?" And I was like, "Let's watch Final Destination." I was like, "Yes, let's do it."
was the third one? That's the flight, right? That was the one when they were on the flight.
No, the first one's the flight.
That was the
First
first
one's
one.
flight,
Okay,
yeah.
The
okay.
third one's the
Second-
roller coaster.
That one's
Okay.
roller coaster.
Was it
Fourth
first?
one is the NASCAR track.
Yeah,
which is
that-
like that's when it was like
The beginning. That's the
I
beginning
don't-
of Money.
I don't know.
I think though
Yeah.
the fourth one has one of the scariest deaths, although it isn't the best movie, which is with the
the pool?
shoelace, not the pool, the shoelace on the escalator.
Oh yeah, that was
When it got caught
freaky.
and like it was,
That
I was like, oh
freaky.
my god.
It's just these things can happen, man. That's what makes it scary. That's what makes it scary. And that's what drew me in, man. I like, for some reason, I don't know about y'all, but I like that feeling of being like just scared, like, oh man, what the hell is that? Like, I love that feeling, that adrenaline rush, that pumping, and like I said, the earlier series, like when I was a kid, for some reason, Child's Play used to do that to me. I mean, I know nowadays I'm looking back, like I would have just kicked this shit out of Child, whatever his name, Chucky. I would just kick him, get out of my face, Chucky. But as a kid, I'm like, and I used to always be huge into action figures, so I'm like, man. This dude, this doll is moving around. And, as a kid at nighttime, shadows play games with your eyes and your mind. So I used to man, and it was the earlier ones, like the first one, second one, that was set back in the early '80s, man. They used to get me too, man. So it was, man, y'all bringing back memories, man. This is awesome.
Oh,
I love the
Happy
Child's
too.
Play series.
Yeah.
It's such
Yeah.
a fun series.
It is. It's pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
Oh man, but so Church, I gotta ask, out
Okay.
of all of the Final Destination movies,
Mhm.
which one would you say was your favorite?
No, it's got to be the first one, without a doubt. It's got to be the first one, the original, just
Yeah.
because it was a new thing. Like, to me, I didn't think any type of horror movie kind of tapped into that realistic death type situations. I mean, they were all before that. I feel like it was, a character, somebody like a Michael Myers or a Jason that's just terrifying everybody, or like a Child's Play or some type of ghost or something like that. So I feel like this was the first genre that really tapped into that. What if this happened? Mechanical errors, human error. There's something can happen like that.
Yeah.
And it just made you think a little bit, like, man, like, hold up, like this. I could have died in a situation like that, like, so that really, it kind of got me in that situation. So I always think the original is always the best. Like I said with the I always like that original flavor to it. So the first one to me, it kind of drew me in. After that, they can have some cool scenes in the second one and the third one, but it kind of got old as it went on. But that first one, it kind of drew me in, and it was like, man, this is awesome. This is a cool little situation they got going. So that's kind of what really drew me into that Final Destination as one of my favorite horror films.
What would you say, Nick? Which one was your favorite?
I liked. Yeah, I think it's very. I think it would be. It's. I'm stumbling. I want to say the first one, but I do also want to say I think the second one, because I like how the second one they revisit the survivor.
Yeah, that was cool.
And it's
that
like
was cool.
It's like using their knowledge, like, oh no, this happened before, and oh my gosh, it's happening again. And I feel like the second one got away. It usually, in sequels, that gets stale because it seemed like a rehash. But because they worked that in, like, we acknowledge that this has happened before. How do we get past it? I feel like the second one really brought maybe there is, I feel like there was a lot more talk about death in the second one, like the essence of death and kind of existential too, in a horror sense. And the girl's in an insane, right? The survivor's in an insane asylum, I think, right?
that's how
she checks herself into one.
Yeah.
So I like the second one because it addresses what's happened. And it's kind of streamlined and shows like the after effects and like the conversations in the second one, because it's a little darker. And of course, starting off with the car crash, it seems very like anyone who's been in a car accident is like traumatized.
Without
Yeah,
a doubt.
yeah.
Without a doubt.
I
It's
think
really
the funny thing about the second one is how at the beginning the friend is such an annoying character. And I was like, oh, am I gonna have to deal with her this whole movie? Nope, she just gets rammed by a truck.
In and out, man. Cha-cha. In and out.
But I also love in the second one how you find out how because of events from the first movie, it got affected with the second movie. Like how the one girl was in the bus that got hit by the who hit the girl from the first movie.
Mhm.
And it was like,
Mhm.
oh, but if she would have made it to her destination that first movie, there was an explosion in that factory. So she would have been
True.
dead. So it was like how
Yeah.
Death then, after killing all the people from the first like Flight 180, was like, okay, wait, now I need to step back and kill these people because they missed
They're
there.
yeah. Kind of a
Their
butterfly
deaths.
effect
Mhm.
deal, you know. It was definitely slick. I
Mm.
like how they put it together in the second one. So that was pretty sweet. It was pretty sweet.
Yeah. For me, I love the fifth one a lot.
Ooh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. I will say that the first one is the best one,
Okay.
but the fifth one puts up a very good fight because, of course, the fourth one is a stinker.
Yeah.
That for me, that's the worst one.
I'd agree.
But the fifth one goes back to its roots of what was really scary. You know, a bridge collapsing, like that could happen.
Yeah, we've seen
That's
it
the
happen.
fear.
Yeah.
That's that
Yeah.
fear again.
There it is.
Yeah.
It is true.
That could happen, and then at the end, how, of course, spoiler alert, but we're going to talk about spoilers this entire time, so you
Yeah,
don't
this
need
is
to
true. This is
hold
true.
back. But how it connects to the first movie, how you find out, oh, this was a prequel.
That's it's like all it makes it full circle.
Exactly. And of course,
It
there's
was.
then the plot hole of, oh, how didn't the people then from the first movie or the second movie find out about the bridge? But
And how they, yeah.
it was made well enough where you're like, okay, I can look past that. That's all right.
every film's gonna have one or two little plot holes in there, but I like. Yeah, you're right. They tied it together. They tied it together nicely. You think there's gonna be a sixth one?
Yeah, there's going to be a sixth one.
There's
There
gonna
is.
be one. Okay.
There's going to be one.
alright.
Apparently, it's going to come out in a year or two.
Okay.
Huh.
I'd be down for that. I ain't gonna lie. I'd be down for a sixth one. I'd watch it.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm
Gotcha.
definitely interested.
We'll see.
And then
We'll see.
I have to wonder. I wonder, like, will there be kind of 2020 influenced events? You know, like now they have a whole bunch of realistic terror material that's just happened for the entire year.
That's very true. They can intertwine that somehow. Make it an important part of the movie. I can see that happening. Like I said, I'd watch it. I'd watch it. They can have some of my money.
Yeah.
I did since the first, like before the pandemic, the last horror movie that I saw was The Invisible Man in theaters.
That was the remake, right?
Yeah, that was the remake.
That was the remake. Yeah, I thought that was the Invisible Man. That's the one where he kind of torments his what is it, like ex-girlfriend or maybe ex-wife.
His
or something
wife.
Like that. His ex-wife.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it was. Okay, had her thinking she was crazy as heck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. That was a slick movie. I like that. That was a slick one. That's like I think the original one was with Kevin Bacon, or maybe was that a remake as well?
That was a remake as well, because the original was from the 30s.
Okay, so it all was remade. Okay, because I like the Kevin Bacon one. I thought that was slick, but I like how they did in this version, how they made it seem like he was like tormenting her, and how they made it seem like she was just going crazy as heck, when really this dude was really doing all this messed up stuff to her. So I felt like that was a pretty cool twist they put on it.
Yeah, yeah, and in the scene in the restaurant where she's finally gonna tell the girl like about what's happening, and you just see her like looking to the side, and you see just a floating knife just slit her throat, and they go in the other girl's hand.
Like how? I'm like, what? Oh man! Just hits the table, boom, and she's just posted there like, oh man. So that would have been that.
That death, I was just in the theater with one of my very good friends. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Just sliced her though, just like how, like I guess nobody just saw this random knife floating in the air except for homegirl.
No, it's a restaurant. It happens.
There's knives floating around, slicing people's throats and stuff.
Yeah.
I will say I did laugh a little bit when they were fighting her and the Invisible Man, and she started taking them pots and plates to start beating them. You just see it like breaking in the air. I felt bad. I was laughing in the theater.
Let me ask y'all though, would you want to have that ability to just kind of be invisible? You know, would you want to have it be invisible forever, or just like you'll get to choose? Let's just say you get to choose when you're invisible or not. Would you want to have that ability?
Yeah,
if
that'd
you
be
could just
awesome. Being able to do that, like,
I think that'd be pretty slick, man.
Yeah.
I think it'd be pretty slick. Like, hey, you know what? I'd rather have the ability to fly, but being invisible, man, that's not bad. That's not a bad option.
I mean, if I could sneak into places, that's what I would use. I would just sneak into places.
That's
Totally. Yeah,
Hit up the
and I'm
Super Bowl,
not
be on the field of the Super Bowl courtside.
exactly. Like, oh, I just stumble in.
what was it? Super Bowl 50, was it 50? The people who dressed up as construction workers and were able to sneak in.
I think it was.
Yeah.
That would be slick, man. I'd do it. I'd be courtside just watching the game. Just, this is pretty slick. At the World Series, right behind home plate. Like, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
that'd be pretty slick. That'd be pretty slick.
Pretty good.
You know, maybe Aaron Rodgers in the pocket. I'll be invisible, push him over. So
trip him on his way back. Foot out.
Just like somebody did Denny Dimes with the and he trips.
Somebody
What
was out
really-
there, man. That's what.
What really happened to Daniel Jones that day?
Come to find out, it was the invisible man.
But I will say, I saw a horror movie yesterday for the first time since the pandemic.
Okay, well,
In
which one did you
theaters.
check out?
The Unholy.
I'm not saying, what's that about?
It's an interesting concept. It's about this witch who was burned in like the 1800s, and how in the present day, a reporter who's been disgraced because they find out he was making up stories and all of that. So he's trying to get back into making real stories, and he finds the corn baby and he crushes it, releasing the spirit, not knowing what he did.
Switch. Okay.
Yeah, and she basically starts talking to this girl who's deaf and mute, and she could just suddenly start to speak again and hear everybody. And she says how she's been visited by the Virgin Mary because the witch's name is Mary, so they assume it's the Virgin Mary.
When it's really this witch. Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a very interesting concept that unfortunately just did not come together. The plot was very bad. A lot of useless jump scares. You had all of like the makings of what doesn't make a horror movie good.
Man, the way you set it up, I'm thinking, okay, this might be something I wanna venture to the theater and check out.
Yeah, that was what I was like. I was like, this is such a cool concept. Just didn't come together.
Out, I hate when that happens, man. They had a cool premise and they just didn't come through with it at the end. They dropped the ball. You hate to see it. You hate to see it happen, man. But let me
the
ask you a
CGI
question.
effects. Oh my god.
They were bad?
They were
that
terrible.
bad? Oh, man. You can't do that and have bad CGI, man. It just doesn't bring it together.
I'm a big practical effects guy. But yeah.
I can dig it.
Yeah,
I can dig it.
You go,
Let me ask y'all, what did y'all find? What did y'all think about that first Paranormal? The very first one that came out, and it was just by itself, not the second, third, and all that other just the very first Paranormal. What did y'all think about that?
Nick, you could go first. I know you have thoughts about the Paranormal Activity series. You like it?
Well, wait. Are you talking about Paranormal Activity or the movie Paranormal?
So I like the movie Paranormal. That's the one where they were kind of like they thought they were in space, but they're really in the ocean. Was that one?
I think so.
I've never seen Paranormal, so that one I
okay. I'm talking about Paranormal Activity, the one.
Okay,
Situation or whatever.
Yeah. I have this sentimental story with Paranormal Activity. It was the first horror movie that I saw, kind of like in theaters when I was a kid. And we're all in our 20s. So yeah.
I'm about to say, hold on. Hold on, man.
Yeah.
Y'all make me feel old as shit.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
So I saw it with my sister and her friends, and it was one of those things. What like freaked me out was like the trailers, because it wasn't so common that you were seeing trailers of people's reaction.
That
You
was
remember that when it
kind of
first came out?
that first they were viewing the audience and the audience was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay,
Yeah, and like looking in retrospect, like that's kind of cheesy, but also like when I was a kid, I was like, oh, I want to feel that way. Oh, am I gonna have that
Yeah,
reaction? So, so I went. I loved it, and I personally, the series falls apart. I will wholeheartedly say that it absolutely falls apart. But that first one, um, I feel like that reinvented the found footage genre. It
that
brought
Blair
it
Witch
back.
type deal. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, because afterwards it was so flooded. I think was it 2007, 2006 that the
It
first
was
one came out?
2007 that came out.
Yeah.
2007 was a crazy good year for horror.
It was.
It was.
Yeah.
What about?
So I genuinely do like it.
All right, that's dope. I'm glad. What about you? You liked it?
So I will say that I am a fan of the second one more than the first one.
Okay.
But I think with me, the first one, I just hate the main characters in it too much. For
what was it? The woman, and was it just the woman and the man in that one?
Yeah, Micah and
oh, Micah, I have his
what?
name because we did a whole podcast on the Paranormal Activity series and other found footage movies. So I have it somewhere. I need Micah and Katie. Katie was the girl's name.
Okay, that's what it was. Okay. So you didn't really have a great love of it.
Yeah, I think it was because it was one of those things where I felt the characters were just were too dumb. Where where Micah was just antagonizing the spirit the whole time. I was like, oh my, you know that this isn't a good idea.
Why are you talking to the thing? Like that's the thing that had me. I'm like, well, let's go. See, I know myself though. I would have, and then that movie would have been short if I was in there because I'd have been like, oh, this is what's going on. I'm out of here. Like I'm gone. The movie would have been done like it would have been done like that.
Yeah.
But I will say I did like the first one. Because it was kind of like you said, it was kind of like in that Blair Witch where you never really got to see the villain. It was just, man, I wonder what's really going on. I wonder what he's gonna look like. Are we gonna get this reveal? And it was just things that are just happening, and it was like random things getting tossed, and it wasn't that it was oh my goodness scary, but it had scenes where I was just like, oh okay, oh all right, oh what's that? All right, oh, okay, hold on, and it got me a little bit with that. So and like you said, it was the first one that kind of brought back that Blair Witch, that found footage type deal. Where you're like, man, could this have been real? And they always hit you with the based on a true story. So when I was younger, I'm this
that was me. Wow, this could have happened. Wow, so, was this found? Wow,
that's what kind of I liked it a little bit on that aspect of it.
Oh yeah, I love the ending of the first movie. Like I think it has one of the best endings of the whole series. Like, such a good ending.
It's just like. Wow, in the screen. I'm like, oh shit.
I hated though how they spoiled it in the trailer. It was in the trailer that they showed. So you knew what was gonna happen, but that's something, a whole conversation on its own, how trailers just show too much information nowadays.
Especially nowadays. I mean, you got 3-minute trailers. I'm like, you might as well see the whole movie.
Yeah.
Give me the 30-second snippets, man. I'll take the 30-second snippets any day.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with the ending stuff too. You know what? Like, I feel like what needs to happen more in the horror genre is what the first Paranormal Activity did, and what the rest of the series mostly does is like the ending being the climax. When you can leave, if you can leave a theater or leave the ending of a movie, and your heart is like racing, and you are filled with adrenaline, and then it ends in a satisfying way, but not in a like a loophole, in a cliffhanger kind of way. It's like that's. I feel like I think that's what was really well done. I think that's why Paranormal Activity like sticks with you, especially seeing it when it first came out. It was like, wow, I feel really like tense right now, and then you like had to like ease back into your body and.
I agree because it didn't end like where all that scary stuff happened and then they're back to regular life and then maybe leave you with a cliffhanger. You might see the demon's eyes in her face or something. It didn't leave you like that. It left you just like damn, like it left you up to your own thoughts, what you think happened. And like you said,
Yeah.
the heart's going. So you're like, man, what could have happened? So I'm, the whole way out of the theater on the way home, I'm like, man, what could have happened? Am I gonna see that shit tonight? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it was like, I like how they did that. I do.
And I think the thing I love about it is how, like you said, this could happen. Like this is a plot that wasn't like, oh, they're gonna play a game that they know could kill them for no reason.
Yeah, exactly.
This is like this could happen.
Exactly, because I mean, everybody hears random noises at night in your house. I mean, your house is settling. You hear the creaks and the cracks, or the ice machine cranking something. So like everybody hears these things. Ice machine, yeah. And then when Paranormal came out, it just intensified everything for me. So I'm the ice machine crackling. I'm like, oh, what was that? What the hell's going on? Like, and then I got kids now, but I can only imagine like if I had them back then. Like if a kid's toy just, you left it on and randomly at the middle of the night it says, hi, daddy, or something like that, that freaked me out. Like, oh, what in the hell? So, I mean, it puts a whole new perspective on it, man. It's pretty cool, though.
I mean, the biggest thing for me is that kids in horror movies are terrifying.
Without a doubt. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Little kids, it just, like, it used to freak me out because I got 2 little ones now. And like if I were to come out of my bedroom and just saw my kid at the end of the hallway, like not facing me, but just facing something else, like man, that would freak me out, man. I'd be like, yelling like, hey, Jordan, and he's not saying nothing to me, and it's dark, man. Kids make it just 10 times worse, man.
So I gotta ask then, Church, have you seen the movie Sinister?
Oh,
there's a second one.
Right? Is there 2?
Yep.
There's 2, yeah. So I've seen both of those Sinisters, and they freak me out because it's the kid aspect, man. It's the kid aspect. Which one was the one where they're like on I think they were on a farm kind of deal?
That's the second one, the farm.
That's the second one, okay. And like the family before they found the footage, and like the Sinister dude was like, it was the kid the whole time, right? That was like hanging people and killing. Man, that thing like had me just like I said, the kids make it 10 times worse.
I know from the first movie with the lawnmower. Oh my god!
Oh yeah.
The first time I was watching. Oh my god!
I was like, it was just speechless at that moment.
The Sinisters, they got me, man. And I'll tell you. I don't mean to switch up movies like this, but one ending that kind of got me, and I was like, and this is a relatively recent movie, and I was like, damn, that's how they gonna end it. But did you watch the remake of Pet Sematary?
Yes.
So the ending of Pet Sematary, where like basically the whole family's like, whatever, zombified or whatever, and they left the little baby in the car, and the family turns to the baby like, it's your turn next, and then they just kind of cut it off, and I'm just like, man, damn, that's how they gonna leave it. Like, that Pet Sematary kind of messed with me a little bit too, man. It wasn't so scary. It was just like,
have you seen the alternate ending of it?
No, I have not seen the alternate ending.
So in the alternate ending, so how there's the big fight between the dad and the little girl in the cemetery.
Yeah.
And like in the original ending, the mom ends up coming and killing the dad and bringing him to the cemetery. In the alternate ending, before he kills the little girl, he decides he's not gonna kill her and goes with her to zombify the mom. Yeah. And then you remember the shot from the beginning of the movie that goes like pans through like the house, and like you see kind of like a little bit of blood, the doors open, stuff like that. Yeah. It goes back to that shot into the house, and they pose for the family photo again, like they didn't, like you see in the beginning of the movie, except the two are zombified, and Gage is like crying like crazy. And the cat jumps into the picture. I was like, okay, I like this ending a little bit more, but
man, I'm telling you that ending right there got me a little bit, man. I like it though, but I've always been a fan of he's killing me now. I can't remember his name.
Stephen King.
Yeah, Stephen King. I've always been a fan of Stephen King, man. His books are good as well. I mean, you got it. The Shining was, like I said, one of my favorites. So I've always been a big fan of his.
Yeah. Have you seen Gerald's Game on Netflix?
I have not seen Gerald's Game. Is that something I need to check out?
You should check it out. Yeah, it was a Stephen King novel.
Okay.
Very, very good acting performance by the main girl in the movie. I can't think of who portrays the girl, but very, very good suspenseful movie that gets very disgusting at points. But
and it's called I'm sorry, what was the name of it?
It's called Gerald's Game.
Gerald's Game. All right. I'll have to
And
check
then-
that one out. I never heard of that one. I'm gonna check it
Church,
out.
Church, have you seen Misery?
Of course.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh,
one of
man.
the best acting. I mean, they were both great in that movie, but I mean,
Such powerful
that was,
performances.
and it was like, man, because once again, it was that realistic factor. Like, you got a crazy fan, you know what I'm saying? They get that Nightingale situation where they bringing them in, they're taking care of them, and then she's like, you're not leaving, you're with me. And one of that scene that sticks in my head, I'm sure everybody knows what I'm talking about, is when she puts that board in between his ankles, and she with the sledgehammer comes
yes.
through. Kapow! That will stick in my mind forever. I mean, it was one of the, like, it was just a chilling movie, and it was just suspenseful, man. It kept me on the edge of my seat the whole time, man. It was a classic. It was a classic.
I think something crazy about that movie is when you find out how many who the people are. I think it's Paul, the main character, the main guy character.
Yeah, Paul.
How many famous actors didn't do the role because they wouldn't be the main focus of the movie? Yeah, there was a whole list. I would need to find it again, but James Caan decided that he would go in and do it and did amazing. But a lot of famous actors at the time didn't do it because they're like, I'm not the main star, so no.
Really? I didn't know that part of it, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad it ended up happening the way it did, because those two, they had a dynamic performance. I mean, it was just like I said, acting was phenomenal. I mean, it was phenomenal. Like, I believed every situation that was going on. I'm like, yeah, you bet. And then when he's like, I think he had the wheelchair. She went to the city or something, or to the town to grab something. And he's like trying to hurry up to get back before she pulls up. I mean, it was a suspenseful movie, man. I loved it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I quickly do want to jump back to Final Destination because I want to ask.
My bad. Yeah, I was all
No, you're good. We go on tangents like that all the time on this podcast because we love horror movies. So like, we'll always be ready to talk about another one. But I'm just very interested in this, so I want to find out from you guys, what is your favorite death from the Final Destination series?
Woo! Man, there's so many good ones. But there's two, and I've already mentioned that just kind of stick out to me. And that's actually there's three, and it's hard to decide between them, three of them. But if I'm gonna have to take two of them. It's gonna be the scene where they're behind the trees, and it comes off and it comes into the windshield of the person driving the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one that stuck out to me. And then the sunbathing incident, where, like I talked earlier, kind of just all lined up to where I think she hit a shelf, something fell off the shelf, which kind of trapped her in there to begin with. And something I think spilled. Something spilled, and that's when the electric started going crazy, and the temperatures just skyrocketed in the sunbathing situation. And you're like, the whole time you're thinking, oh, is she gonna get out? Is she gonna find a way? How is this gonna happen? And then time's just getting further and further. And you're like, man, she's starting to bake. And then she started getting sizzling on the arms. I'm like, oh, she ain't making it out. And then eventually just woof, it caught on fire. And my wife right now, and she used to do all that sunbathing and all that other stuff. And I used to just think, man, like that kind of stuck with me. So I'd have to say those two. Of course, that roller coaster scene and that plane crash were legit as well. But the two that kind of stick in my mind and just kind of stay there when I think about Final Destination has got to be those two situations and those deaths. But overall, man, they had a lot of freaky situations.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Bill, I think you're back. Do you want to say what your favorite death is?
I am back. I am so sorry.
All good. There you are.
Good knowledge. Discord does not work very well while you're driving. But I'll answer. So you guys, I'm sure, are I have not seen many of the Final Destination movies super recently. It was a big thing when I was like 14, 15, 16, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there is a death that I'm sure I'll describe it and you guys will know which movie it's from, but it's the one where the sunroof is open in the car wash. Do you guys know this?
Oh,
wasn't it? And then the propeller things were coming.
He gets caught in it. Yeah.
And she gets killed by the action of the car wash, and it's so intense because
I forgot about that one.
The car wash doesn't know to stop. Yeah, that one was always crazy to me. Because that could once again like actually happen. Like if you just weren't paying attention.
Yeah.
Mm.
Man, I
Crazy to
remember
me.
seeing the trailer when that one came out because they showed that one everywhere. It's the fourth one.
I
man,
know
yeah,
how
that's
much
the-
you love
okay, okay.
trailers. I know how much you love trailers, Ryan.
Mm. Mm.
What you guys talking about?
What about you, Nick?
Okay, this one definitely had an impact on things that something I would decide to never do. So I think it's the second one or first or second one, and it's the laser eye surgery.
It's the fifth one. That was the one I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I forgot about that one too.
Yes, the
Oh,
laser the laser eye surgery that's for me is like, well, I'm never gonna get that. Like it was that's
Nope,
it. I will
I'll
never.
stick with my
That's it.
contacts, man. I'll stick
yeah.
with the contacts.
Exactly. I was so like, you know what? There's a way to avoid this situation entirely, and here they are. So it's
Oh my! You took the one I was gonna say because I was like, you see, I wear glasses. We wear
Yeah.
glasses. That one,
Yeah.
I was like, I would get
wear 'em as
LASIK
well.
one day.
I wear 'em as
Yeah.
well.
Saw that movie, was like, nope, I'm good.
There were a lot of crazy deaths, man. A lot of crazy.
Yeah,
Oh,
a lot of, and I think that's the best thing about the Final Destination series, as Death being our antagonist of the series. That he's just like, I'm gonna kill you in the most convoluted, tortury way that I possibly can as payback for you avoiding your death.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was
And
rough. It was
If like
rough.
we could see that, I mean, in the third one with the girl who gets the nail gun shot like through her like face,
Yep.
My God.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was. Oh,
and like
that
how
was
you see
brutal.
the chain reaction between everything about the thing of nails falling from the top shelf to hit the truck that starts driving, that hits like the flammable stuff, which makes it
Like
slide. It
dominoes,
like
just doop, 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 and it just goes down the line. Oh, it was bad. Like the guy who was in bed, and I don't know if it was a shoelace or something was started to strangle him going up his bed. I forget which one that was in, man.
oh,
But he was just getting choked, like strangled slowly to
Yeah.
death, man. I forget which
Oh,
one that was in.
yeah.
That one was freaky too. That one was freaky
oh,
as
which
well.
one was that?
Damn,
I can't.
forget
I
which
think
one.
of like the
It was one of
choking
earlier
one.
ones.
I always think of the first one with the shower. That one
Oh,
I
I
always
forget.
think
Yeah,
of.
that one was too. That one was nice
Right.
too.
And that's the only one in the whole series where like Death like hides what it did. Like you see the water start to go away and like
All the situations that made the perfect storm seem to just go away. He was covering his tracks,
Yeah.
man. He was covering his tracks.
Death was like, you know what? If any of them were to be like caught, like where they're like, that's Death. This is the one. I'm gonna cover. I'm gonna cover myself.
They're not gonna catch me.
Clean up the scene.
That's just like, all right.
My job here is done.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But it's so crazy how like we go from the first movie where the one girl gets hit by the bus
Mhm.
and like she's done
It's a
for,
wrap.
which I love that death. But to like I think it's the fourth one where like a bathtub
Falls.
from like the sky and like just murks the person.
Takes them off the map ASAP.
Like,
Oh man.
I love how crazier the series got. And like some of them is like, oh, that could happen, like 100% happen. Well,
yeah,
others
without
it's
a
just
doubt.
like a bathtub just fell from the sky, just crumpled the dude. Like,
Yeah.
Man.
The glass pane with
Oh
the
my-
crows,
yes.
or the pigeons.
Ooh,
It's-
that was, and didn't they like the pigeons scattered and then it just
Yeah.
like the guy released it and it was
Yep.
yep.
Yeah.
And how they
That was a
hinted
rough
to
one.
it, and like how he's in the dentist office. First off, that was like,
Yes.
oh my god,
yeah,
he's gonna
that
die in
was
the
like-
dentist office.
Is he
Yeah.
gonna get it there? Is he gonna get it out of his? Oh yeah, that was freaky. That was
Yeah.
freaky.
Oh,
And
and
then-
like the pigeons flying through the window and stuff like
Mhm.
that.
The symbols. Do you guys remember how they used to play like the little symbols? They'd show symbols like the hints that Ryan was talking about, like
Mhm.
the one who had a ladder fall through his eye
Oh
in the
my
background of the scene, right? It says
Oh,
eye
yeah.
on the refrigerator.
Ooh, I didn't even catch that one because then he like fall out of the window
Yeah.
at first or something like that, hit the ground or fell off of the escape ladder, and then it started to come down quick, and then it like stopped right here, and then I guess the rest went through. Yeah,
That was
a tough
with
one,
the
too.
spaghetti when he throws out the window and he
Yeah.
pops out the
Yes.
spaghetti.
Yes, that's how it went down. I forgot he was making spaghetti.
Yeah.
That's how it went down. That is exactly how it went down, man.
I like I said, that's the best part about the series, how the little things like that affect the whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Oh yeah.
And the little hints, like in the third one, how like she took pictures of everybody, and how the order was the pictures, and like the death that I always think of with the third movie is the guy working out, and how like the knife,
Oh, the
like,
equipment.
swords,
Yeah,
break
yeah,
the
yeah.
equipment, and then the weights just come down, just
Just come
smash
down.
his head.
Ah.
And like in the background, you see when like the game that he was playing, you see the weight right above his head, and to the side you see like a dude with swords.
Oh
the
yeah.
head.
Those little hints they used to throw out there, man.
Mhm.
Mm.
But
So
I
made it
completely
good.
forgot about this death, and I'm changing my answer on my favorite death.
Okay.
It is
Alright.
still in the fifth one. It's the first really big one after the premonition with the balance beam,
Mhm.
with the tack, and how like she falls off and just crumples to the like floor.
Ooh,
Oh,
I don't remember
yeah.
that one. Hold on.
I don't
let me
remember
check
that.
I remember that.
You don't remember
What
that was like
happened?
the first
No.
it's the gymnastic one where she's on the beam and she's like dancing around it, and there's the little tack on it.
Oh, yes.
Did she
Now
like
it-
stepped on the tack or something?
Oh, I forget if she steps on it or someone else does, and that causes the chain reaction.
Oh, that's what starts it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. To where when she was doing her like flips like that, she flies up in the air and just smacks into the ground and like
Ooh.
crumples to the ground.
Yeah, I gotta rewatch the fifth one, man. That would have been a freaky death as well. Would have been. a freaky death.
There was a lot of freaky deaths within that movie.
I gotta check the fifth one out because I don't really remember the fifth one. That's the bridge?
That's the
Is that the
bridge.
one? Okay, I gotta rewatch
Mhm.
that one. I gotta rewatch that
Yeah,
one.
I do
that one
too.
has-
I'm with you
yeah,
there,
That one has the
Church.
LASIK, the beam. What else was in it?
Mhm.
Was that the one where the guy kind of like gets thrown through the fence, or like he
That's the
died by,
fourth
like,
one.
that's the fourth one. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I gotta rewatch the fifth one then. All right.
Oh, there was the wrench that came down and just like flew out and just smacked the guy in the head.
Oh, the right.
That was in the fifth one too.
That was in the fifth one.
Oh, see, I definitely gotta rewatch the fifth one, man.
Mhm.
Ryan, which one? Oh, sorry. Which
No, go
one's the
ahead.
one with the pool drain?
The fourth
Pool
one.
drain.
Oh, the pool drain. That's
When
When
right.
he got sucked down.
Yeah.
To the bottom of, oh
Yeah.
man, that was nasty. That was a little gory. That was a little gory, right?
Yeah.
I think the thing I hated about the fourth one though is how CGI the blood became.
Yeah.
When the first two are so
Kinda
practical affected, like there was so little CGI. Like the only CGI they used in that second movie was to make the logs bounce.
Up until no doubt.
Everything
The rest
else
of that
was all practical.
That was pretty slick. I agree with you on that one.
I'm a very big practical effects person. I hate when there's too much CGI in a movie.
Without a doubt, I agree with you. I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So
I'm
all right.
I'm watching that gymnastics death right now. It's the screw.
Oh, it's a
from the
screw.
fan. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Oh, so nasty.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like those little things like that, like when you like stub your toe or like something goes into your foot, like your fingernail, stuff with that. It's those little like kind of things.
Mhm.
leaves you so tense.
Now I'm seeing it. Then the fan. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I just saw it over
Yeah.
here. So
Yeah, oh, yeah.
yeah, the fan threw the powder up and it. Oh, she did
Yep.
like 3 flips and then bones sticking out. Yeah, that was a gruesome one. That was a.
Yeah.
Oof, man, she crumpled apart quick.
Yeah.
That was
And
rough. That was
all
rough.
practical.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah,
Up in the air,
it's
just a
just a
couple
screw.
flips came down.
A
Bah.
loose screw. Yeah.
Get you.
Oh, I hate how the boyfriend's watching too, and he's like, "Oh my!"
Oh my.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a like supportive boyfriend. It's like, yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Man. Ain't looking too good.
Oh.
Yeah, we ain't looking too good.
I mean, unless you're the main character in the third movie where your girlfriend dies, and then it's like, oh, the main girl, I could get with her.
I can get opportunistic, man.
Yeah, he was like, my girlfriend died, your boyfriend died, similar
Let's make this work.
circumstances.
Let's make it work.
Oh.
That's bad news, man.
Oh man.
Mm.
Oh man! So, final thoughts on the Final Destination series as a whole? We'll start with you, Church.
Overall, like I said, I was a big fan of the beginning one, the first one, Final Destination. I got to rewatch the fifth one because there's a lot of deaths in there. Now that I've seen them, like, man, it's pretty intense. Maybe I should recheck out the fifth one. But overall, man, I thought it was a really interesting series. Like I said, they brought that realistic factor into the movie, and that's what kind of really got me, especially that first one. I'm like, man, this could happen. Like, you could be on a plane malfunctioning, that could happen. Roller coasters I've seen malfunctioning could happen. We've, like I said, hitting potholes and trees flying into your windshield. All that stuff could happen. So to me, they brought that into it, and that's what really kind of got me interested in the series and kind of gave me that fright overall. And that's what I love about horror movies. If they can get me scared, if they can get me jumping and just like real interested in it, I love it. And that's one of my favorite genres as we talk about it, man. I'm all over the place when it comes to horror movies, but it's one of my favorite genres. I love being scared. I love that intense feeling of just adrenaline rush. So for me, this was that series that kind of had me jumping all over the place, especially the first one. Overall, I'll give the series a B minus overall, because it started to tail off to me towards the end. So I'll give it a B minus, but like I said, it was one of my favorite genres when it comes to the horror situation. So I'll give it a B minus.
All right. Bill, do you want to go while we still have you?
yeah, before I lose connection again. Yeah, Church, I really agree with you. I would give it probably like a B minus overall. It's always a little unfortunate when like most horror series, like it just start out so strong and kind of taper off. I'm really excited though, Ryan, with what you were saying. When's the next movie due? When's 6
It's supposed to be a year to 2 years, whether that changes or
okay, so
it's affected by the pandemic,
Probably 3 years, realistically. Okay. Yeah, that's true. True. So many things, especially just series got thrown off by the pandemic.
The Candyman remake. That was the one movie that I was looking for this year.
So it's done, a remake?
It's finished. It's going to be made. Oh my God, when is it releasing this year? I looked up. I think October is when it's releasing, or August this year.
Yeah,
all right. That's one that had me scared as a kid because I was probably like 5 when it came out. I think it came out 92.
Oh,
Did it come out in 92?
Yes.
I think I was 4.
Yeah.
I was 4. I'm born in 88, so it was 4 when I came out. I didn't really get to watch it though until I was about 8, 9. And that one kind of scared me because as a kid, that's the urban legend. Let me go in here, turn the lights off. Candyman, can it happen? Yeah. I never got past 2. I always left before you get to 3rd Candyman, so I never knew if that situation happened. But that's another one that kind of scared me. My bad getting sidetracked, but it kind of scared me. My bad.
The 3rd Candyman is very bad, but
yeah.
But the remake, it's more of like, I don't even know how to describe it because I think people from the first movie, like Tony Todd, oh my God, I can't think of her name. Well, Helen in the movie, Virginia Madsen, I think they're gonna be in the new movie.
Oh, okay, that's nice.
All right.
So I don't know what's gonna happen, but it looks pretty good. I do love though, quickly before we continue with Final Destination, how in the trailer they were like, man, who would be stupid enough to do this? And then just a whole bunch of white girls standing in front of her like Candyman.
Oh man.
I was like, yep.
Oh man. Oh man.
Oh my God. Correct. But Nick, your thoughts on Final Destination as a whole?
Oh man. I came to this realization when I was thinking about what I thought about this series. It's very similar to Pirates of the Caribbean. Hear me out.
Okay.
The first 3 are all connected really well, beginning to end. Then the 4th one comes in. And it's totally like just terrible. And then the 5th one and then the 5th one is fine and it's good again. That's why. Okay. That's why it's like Pirates of the Caribbean. Anyway. And it's that 5 movie sequence where like the first 3 are good, 4th one bad, 5th one is all right. Kind of similar to Paranormal Activity. First 3 are all connected. 4th one kind of spun out of control, and the 5th one.
There's a 6th one.
Although is there 6?
That's the ghost dimension.
There's a 6th
everyone.
one too. So it's kind
terrible.
Yeah.
That was bad.
Yeah. Anyway, I liked it. No, I definitely back to agreeing with everything that's been said. Final Destination made what was real scary. The accidents that happen in life that bring people to the hospital or that kill people, it made them seem a bit more dangerous. And I think it was like that very protective helicopter mother's nightmare fuel. This is why I tell you not to put your hands in things you're not supposed to. And it definitely to have the power to like make you scared of relatively mundane things is just, I think it does really well. The series falls apart towards the end, but I would give it like a B. I think I'd give it a B if we're going by your letter rating.
Yeah. I definitely agree with everything being said. I love this series so much. I think it's so much fun. I'm not a big fan of like, the torture porn subgenre of horror, but I do. This is like an exception. I absolutely love these movies. They're so much fun to me. Of course, the fourth one isn't as good as the other ones, but I do have hope for the sixth one that it could be like the fifth movie, and that's it's good. So I think overall I would agree. I'd give it a B, but on terms of a number scale, I would give it probably a 7. Yeah, I'd give it a 7 in terms of the whole series.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah. So all right, Church. We like to ask a question, which is like the last question for the guest on the podcast, which is, and we already heard it before, but you can say it again. What's a goal that you have for yourself?
Well, like you said, I said it before, but as far as work is concerned and just being in that aspect, my goal would be to build my way up in the media and eventually become one of those play-by-play guys on the ESPNs or the CBSs, how they do that. I still have that love for football, so I'm more in love with the game now. So I'm just I love watching it, I love breaking it down, I love being an analyst and projecting this and projecting that. It's telling people how to make their teams better, even though I probably don't know what the heck I'm talking about. But I love doing that, and it brings me joy to do that. It gives me that same adrenaline rush, kind of like horror movies are for me. So I love that aspect, and the goal is to just build my way up in there and eventually become on that that Romo style level. So that's my goal as an individual, and hopefully it comes true. But that's the goal. That's the plan.
Awesome. Well, we like to ask people that because when they achieve what their goal was, we like to ask them back on the podcast and, they could talk about what you did. So, and of course we would love to have you back on the podcast.
At some point. All you gotta do is invite me. I'll be here. We can talk about a different genre of food films or whatever y'all want to do, man. I love it. I'm definitely down to come back on, man. Just let me know.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, of course, now you have your opportunity. Plug anything you want, Twitter, your podcast, anything.
All right. Well, I'll throw my podcast out there. I have a Players Lounge podcast during the regular season. It's called the Players Lounge. It's myself, NBC reporter Newly Scruggs, and one of my old teammates, Danny McCrae. And we do Monday through Fridays at 11:30 on DallasCowboys.com. That's during the regular season. Now we're just on once a week. We do our Fridays, which is at 11:30 to 12:30. It's the Players Lounge, so you can just check it out, DallasCowboys.com. Check it out, man.
Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
All right.
Well, of course, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It was a lot of fun talking with you.
Oh, man,
really
appreciate for having me, man. I love it. I love how we talked about horror movies. I mean, that's one of my favorite things to do is just check out movies, and so I could talk about it all day, man. So thanks for having me on here. It was a pleasure.
It's been so much fun.
And of course, we're gonna throw the recommendation of Gerald's game to you. And I have one more recommendation.
I'm gonna check it out today.
If you haven't seen it, it's a Spanish horror film that came out in 2007. I always recommend it because it's such a good movie. It's called Wreck.
Wreck. Okay.
Yes. So when you're recording something, it has like the red dot and record that's what it's called.
REC. Yeah.
REC.
Yeah, it has an American remake that you might have seen called Quarantine.
Quarantine. I haven't seen Quarantine. Wait, hold on. Quarantine. That was I think I did see that. Was she like a reporter?
Yes.
Like that? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I did see that.
Okay. You should watch the original.
Up at the end.
Yep.
She got swept away. Okay. I did check that one out. All right. I checked that one out.
You should watch the original Spanish version. It is fantastic. It's a lot better than the American remake.
All right. Is it dubbed
All
or
subtitle.
is it all
Is
subtitle?
subbed, and it's
I
a pretty
think-
fluid.
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's pretty cohesive too. Like sometimes the sub stuff isn't great, but this one it just
Yeah.
everything works out really well. It's not too fast. It's just it's a really good watch. You get
I'll
sucked
check it out,
in.
man.
Yeah,
I'll check
All right,
it out.
Cool.
So what was the first one? General's Game or
Gerald's Game.
Gerald's Game. Gerald's Game. I'll check that out. And then this
Mm.
one's Rec REC.
Yeah.
I'll check it out. Man.
Gerald's Game is
I'll
on
do it.
Netflix, so
Mm.
I mean, easier rec.
I'll
Yeah.
check it out. Appreciate the recommendations. I'm always looking to have new
No
films.
problem.
So thanks for
No
the
problem. And of
recommendations,
course, thank you to Nick and Bill for being here.
Mm.
Love talking to you guys about this stuff.
man. Appreciate
And
it.
of course,
we're
be on the
Appreciate
lookout
it.
for our next podcast where we'll be talking about the Nickelodeon show, My Life as a Teenage Robot. Completely going away from
It's just completely. It's just.
Wait, is that the one? She's kind of like a bluish gray.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know it.
Okay, yeah. I've seen a couple of those. All right.
It's fun. It has a lot of horror influences within it. When you watch it, I was like, oh my god, that's the Invisible Man. That's the Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
There it is. I like it. I like it. Y'all should do one on. You ever watch the regular?
Oh.
regular show.
We should
Y'all,
watch that.
y'all should do one on that one because the ending of the regular show is kind of like what I don't get the ending because isn't it like they fast forward in time and like I forget the tall one's name. Not Rick.
Oh,
what's
Mordecai?
the tall one?
Mordecai.
Mordecai. Like he doesn't end up with the girl he has this huge
Yeah.
crush on, right? He ends up
Right.
with so y'all should do one on that, man. I'd watch that for sure. I'd watch y'all break that down, man. That'd be pretty cool.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh,
Well, yeah, thanks.
oh,
One day.
I'd love to
Yeah.
talk about regular show. That was my favorite shows growing up.
That was a dope one. That was a dope one.
Yeah, but on that note, be on the lookout for My Life as a Teenage Robot and regular show in the future
do.
at some
I'll
point.
check it out.
Yeah.
And of course, everyone follow Church. He's on Twitter. He has his podcast, like he said, and support him so that one day he can become a commentator so we could hear him over the TV.
Yeah, we'd love to
Appreciate
see
it.
it. We'd love to see you
Appreciate
there,
it,
man.
fellas.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, man.
And of course, remember, don't talk to strangers. Bye, everyone.
Yeah.